campfires, barbecues, and always keep a shovel or water nearby and put them out cold before walking away. Ensure that your machinery, including chainsaws or weed trimmers and recreational vehicles with operating spark arresters are maintained regularly. And if you need to learn more, you can always refer to fire.honolulu.gov or the Department of Emergency Management at honolulu.gov-DEM. And for wildland fire management, hwmo.org/lookout. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions from board members? Okay, Member Sharkey.
Sarge, the last meeting, we was talking about the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so much rescue you guys had to do. And then just the following day, you guys made 3 already. We're thinking about you guys making that, which the person who hiking would shouldn't be, just putting you guys in danger,
Right.
So I think this month, I think he had planning about 7, I think I said, or 8, could all come in on this side.
I don't know. According to the statistics that were provided, we didn't have any in the month of April, but we definitely did have in the month of March, where we do have to make repeated trips back and forth just based on conditions, transporting the firefighters up in waves because they all can't transport at one time, and then getting, depending on the weather conditions, they may have to move the patient, or they have to locate the patient because it's not necessarily where the helicopter can drop the patient off, drop the firefighters off to the patient directly. A lot of times the firefighters have to actually hike in once they do get dropped off, find the patient, and then bring the patient to a position where they were able to have egress. And then a lot of times the conditions change depending with the clouds. Sometimes they drop lower, and it forces the firefighters and the patient to go lower. So yeah, that's why you may find on certain calls where we go back and forth.
Yeah, I think you're right, because our meeting is the second Wednesday. So the helicopter scene was the following day. So it's got to be the March.
Yeah.
They had about 5 or 6 rescues. I think
Yeah.
they had,
Yeah.
And
It's unfortunate.
Another question that I asked you guys was, what was Mr. Sue noted for? They had a funeral for him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because we made a moment of silence because he used to be a board member in Palolo.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody knew about what, I even couldn't think about.
I've been here for 3 years, and I was unaware that Mr. Sue was a board member. But he did. If I had known, I probably would have let you folks know. He did a lot for me getting into the department, so I'm indebted to him definitely, and do miss him. But we mahalo him for his commitment to serving our people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Sharkey. Any other questions from board members? Questions from the public? Okay, I actually have one question.
Yes.
So there's a strip of land that's between the fire station and then the channelized stream.
Yes.
Do you know who owns that land? Is it with DFM or the city or?
The city. Yeah, the city.
Okay.
So the city maintains it, I want to say monthly, by cutting down the grass and whatnot. It's locked up to the public. So nobody's really meant to access that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would be the best point of contact to engage with some kind of community like tree planting opportunities from HFD?
HFD. You can contact Community Relations Office, so I can give you their email, hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. Yeah. So you're looking for participants to plant trees in that space. Okay.
Yeah, and then just to coordinate if it's okay with you guys and the city.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's stream care stuff that would prevent it, but we can continue that offline.
Yeah, I would check on the soil before proceeding forward. I know that the ground there is pretty dense. I think I tried to put a shovel in the ground one time, and it was like digging into rocks in multiple spaces. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sergeant Vars.
All right. Mahalo nui.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 2B, the monthly report from the Honolulu Police Department. Is there anyone online? Okay, I see Lieutenant Mura.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yep, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, aloha and good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Mayor from Honolulu Police Department. So we're gonna cover last month's stat 7, murder 3, thefts at 14, and other unauthorized entries into a motor vehicle, we had 8. Total cost for service, $6,184. Okay, so moving into the safe with graduation season coming up, a lot of focus, in my opinion, should be on traffic. There's going to be a lot of cars on the road, a lot of extra people on the road, a lot of pedestrians, that kind of stuff. So some pedestrian safety tips. When preparing to cross the street, do not assume that since you can see the vehicle can see you. It is far safer to assume that the driver does not see you, and make sure to make eye contact. Do not focus on where you are walking, but on the traffic around you as you walk. When a pedestrian traffic light comes to a green, wait a few moments and look for the vehicles attempting to turn. Make eye contact before stepping off the curb or into the road. And finally, be especially careful of vehicles turning right on red signals or within an intersection. Drivers may be busy looking out for other vehicles instead of pedestrians. And that's all.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions from board members? Okay, Member Shiraki.
Lieutenant,
Hi.
you're talking about the pedestrians, who could teach them?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you something. You know, a lot of them, when they're on the sidewalk, looking at the computer, and looking at the stoplight, instead of turning their head left to see if the car stopped or what, they just walk across now. We gotta teach them, the people, and especially some of them, when they're crossing the street, halfway only, and they don't even look where the car coming toward them. You know, they gotta be taught those things, you know, because, I see so many of them, you know, especially if they on a corner, and then they see the green, they just walk right across without even turning their head left, makes you on kind of a turn, you know, so, how can we cite them?
How can we cite them?
Yeah, because you know what, they said they're gonna try and make, crosswalk, legal or something, okay, jaywalk.
Right. So, yeah, it's definitely it's a two-way street, right? No pun intended, but it's both sides, drivers of the vehicles as well as pedestrians. You know, they both should be following the laws and rules to ensure, overall safety for everybody.
Because like I said, regardless if I'm the driver, regardless I'm I don't hit nobody, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Regardless of what it is. You know, sometimes I like to toot my horn when, especially they're on the sidewalk, they're standing right on the edge, you know, and it could be where yellow, and I might be a little bit late on the yellow, or you know what I mean, huh? Those things like that. If it's a long crosswalk. And another thing too is that we're getting
Yes.
too much guys
Yeah.
on 10th
Yes, absolutely.
Avenue and Palolo overtaking. You go in
Yes, like-
28, 25, 28, and they start overtaking, you know what I mean? You know, our road is so narrow and everything, right? So every time they do that, I always took my horn, man. Because the last officer told me, take that number and then turn them in, you know. But I think we gotta get a little bit more policemen over here. Patrolling 10 and 8. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Member Shiraki. Any other questions from board members? Questions from the community? Okay, thank you. Oh, yes.
What up?
Yeah, Molly, you can come. Lieutenant, we're taking a question from the community.
Hi, thank you. You said there were 7, was it pedestrian fatalities?
No.
Car thefts.
7 was motor vehicle thefts.
Oh, okay. All right, I moved it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lieutenant. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Lieutenant, yeah. Okay, and moving on, so the monthly report for the Board of Water Supply is Dominic.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's see, not much to report. Month of April, we had two main breaks. April 1st on Palolo Avenue, 8-inch main, and April 9th, 8-inch main on Weil Mall Road. The Weil Mall Road main is being replaced as part of our Weil Mall Road 8-inch main improvements project. I was informed that project is about 25% complete. We still have, excuse me, the Palolo Water System Improvements Part 3 is going to be following the Weil Mall project, so I will keep the board informed as to when that project will be starting. Last month, I believe there was a question on Red Hill. So oddly enough, this month our announcement is in regards to Red Hill. The Board of Water Supply is encouraging people to visit our website, www.boardofwatersupply.com/protect Oahu water, and I'll put that in the chat when I'm done here. We have updates on Red Hill. We've posted weekly pumpage charts, so showing sort of island pumpage and regional pumpage in the Red Hill area since the closure of several facilities. There's information on drinking water monitoring and test results, links to news updates, as well as conservation tips. And there's also a section in there on the history of water on Oahu. So again, I'll post a link to that in the chat so everyone has access to that. And at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Thank you, Dominic. Questions from board members? Well, no, someone might say something. Questions from the
Dominic.
community?
Since the Navy doing a lot of misunderstanding of inspection, but when you guys make sure you guys take care of Ernie Lau now, because he's the main man, okay? You know what I'm talking about, huh?
Yeah.
Big on him. So tell Ernie Lau, he's doing a great job for the people of Honolulu, okay? Thank you, and Dominic.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Member
Thanks,
Shiraki.
Al.
Any questions from board members? Any questions from the community? Dominic, I have a few questions. So
Sure.
I don't know if it was last month or the month before, but there was concern about overgrown albizia trees and the Board of Water Supply parcels that are at the top of Carlos Long. I was just wondering if you had an update on the status of that.
I don't. Let me grab a pen here so I can make note. The top of Carlos Long, so that former park area there at the very top.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember which month it was in, but I think there was just some concern because the albizia had fallen maybe into their property or something. But just wondering. And then same question posed to the fire department. Who would be the best point of contact for engagement with Board of Water for some kind of tree planting initiative?
So you would want to contact our communications office, and I will research the contact number and I'll put that in the chat as well when we move on here. I'll put their email address as well as the phone.
Okay, that would be helpful. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know off the top of your head, but there are those two TMKs kind of adjacent to Carlos Long. Do you know if there are any other property that Board of Water Supply owns in Palolo?
I'd have to look. Yeah, we do have a tunnel facility in the back of the valley. I'm not exactly sure of the jurisdiction of the land parcels there. but I can research that and report back. I know the park area at the top of Carlos Long, there's been sort of this long-standing effort to determine the proper ownership between the city and the Board of Water Supply. So let me do some research there and get back to you on that as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you, Dominic.
Chair
Okay,
Chair
Oh.
Peros, is the
Hi, Vice Chair.
Albizia tree concerned because it's on Board of Water Supply property? What is the
No.
concern? Why is it going to Board of Water Supply?
I think one
Yeah, so
fell, he said, yeah.
Yeah, I think the trees were on the Board of Water Supply property,
I see.
but it was some issue being overgrown or some kind of fallen branch or something. This was a community concern that was raised maybe a month or 2 months ago. But I know that Councilmember Say's office kind of helped to address it, so they might have fixed it already. But yeah, the nexus to Board of Water Supply is the where the trees were planted or where they
I
are.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see now where it would be addressed with the Board of Water Supply, but it didn't connect. All right, thank you.
Yeah, just their property. Thanks, Vice Chair.
Okay.
Board Member Hack, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you were stretching or raising your hand. Did you have a question for Dominic? You're muted, but I think you're good, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll move on to agenda item number 3, resident and community concerns. Anyone present today wishing to voice a concern or raise anything to the board? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 4. So last board meeting, we had shared that the Trees for Honolulu's Future was successful in securing $50,000 for a Trees for Palolo initiative that is an attempt to kind of replicate and learn from the Trees for Kaimoki project. So I do have a standing agenda item moving forward, reports from that permitted interaction group. And in our official board business, I probably should have a standing item to amend that group to include any other board members that would be interested in joining. So I'll try to keep that in mind for next month. But at this time, I will ask if anyone who attended would like to kind of share their thoughts or any summary of that meeting. If not, I'll just read my official, or I'll read notes that I have. But Board Member Asuega, did you want to? Okay, I'll summarize then if you guys want to chime in. Okay, so. Okay, so the permitted interaction group for the Trees for Palolo met on Monday, May 6th at 6:30 at the Ohana Learning Center at the Palolo Homes. So thank you to Board Member Asuega and Dahlia Asuega for helping to secure that meeting space. There were a total of 13 attendees, including myself and Board Member Asuega and Dan Donnell from Trees for Honolulu's Future, who I see online also. Really, this was the first meeting, and we were just trying to identify key stakeholders and organizations that we should include. We were trying to just get a feel for what people envisioned for kind of green spaces here in Palolo. And some of the stakeholders and organizations that we identified were the Palolo Chinese Home, the Department of Parks and Recreation, the various schools here, including Kaimuki High School, which is outside of our district, but serves a number of our neighbors. And really, it was just a brainstorming opportunity, the very first one. The next meeting will be held on Monday, June 17th, And we're hoping to secure the recreation center at the Palolo Valley District Park. We are also eyeing the Honolulu Diamond Sangha, the Palolo Chinese Home, Kokua Market, and ideally some kind of church to engage other stakeholders across the community. So that was the main summary of our meeting. At this time, if anyone else who attended would like to share their thoughts or reflections, then they can at this time.
Aloha, Chair. It's Dan Dinnell coming in remotely, and you did an excellent summary. And I just wanted to thank the people who came out and issue a broad invitation to those who might be interested to come to the June meeting. And yeah, it's really community driven, and we're here to learn and listen and act appropriately. I'll drop in the chat the email address that we've set up for the initiative. I just wanted to note on the handout, it says Trees for Palolo at treesforhonolulu.com. It is not, we're .org. So your email won't get to us unless it's .org. And but please feel free to reach out, and thank you, Chair, for spearheading this and the board for supporting it. So more to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Luckily, the meeting notes weren't published yet, so I will fix that before uploading. Board Member Oswego, you have anything? Okay. Thank you again for reserving the space. Okay, yeah, so really, if you're interested at all in joining, please send an email. You can just contact me directly. We also, within the Department of Parks and Recreation, we identified the Division of Urban Forestry as a necessary stakeholder in that. So today we're happy to have Roxanne Adams from the Division of Urban Forestry, who will be speaking during the mayor's representative report. So with that, I will move on to, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you're including native pine trees in building the stream, if you're thinking about throwing them in there.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, there were no decisions that were made in the Monday meeting. Identifying native or indigenous trees to Hawaii is something that we did discuss, and kind of with the group that was there, it was also identified to prioritize plants that have a specific tie to Polynesian culture and heritage. And we were looking at a growing space within the public housing kind of area to do that. But I welcome you. If you have any ideas, then please come to our meeting. Yeah. Yeah, so for people online, the question is if there are castor trees along the stream. And I am not sure, but if there are plant people that know, we can answer that maybe in the next board meeting. We'll try to work with DFM, who might be more familiar with the plants along the stream. Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Okay, any other questions from board members or the community? Thank you. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to official board business. So we do have quorum. So the first agenda item is the approval of the regular meeting written summary for video recording for our April meeting on the 10th.
Chair Peros, I move for the approval of the February 14, 2024 minutes of the Palolo Neighborhood Board number 6.
Mr. Chair.
April, yeah.
Again, question before, we approved that. Okay,
We need
All-
a second first. We
Bev,
need to have a second before we have discussion.
Okay, thank you. So the motion was moved by,
no, wait now. I, again, disapprove because the stuff doesn't say what the guy says over here.
yeah, so we can't have discussion until a motion is moved and seconded. So we can
Yeah,
discuss. the
Earl, we have
motion.
to have a first and a second and then discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion to approve was moved by Vice Chair Mao and seconded by Board Member McColgan. And at this time, we will open it up to discussion. Member Shiraki.
Okay, the chair, like you said, every meeting prior to this, when you're talking to the rep and the guy, any member has an answer to say, it's always written there. So they can see what is happening. It's not like now that you say, oh, what is it? Oh, something, you know, on the video or whatever. It's normally the answer, what the reply to the representative is written here. And that's how you read the stuff, whether you approve or not. Okay. It's not something where you just say, oh, what's the answer right here to give you? You get 0.077 look, you know what I mean? Well, that's all common sense. That's why you read
Chair?
all that time.
Mr. Chair,
Yep, Board Member Hack.
I'd like to clarify, this meeting summary is in conjunction with the new, our new remote media and other and recording facility. It is not necessarily a blow-by-blow description. It is in line with the also with the Office of Information Practices. So we have to adjust to the changes. And the main thing is to ensure have an open, accessible meeting to the public. Thank you.
What are you talking about?
So Board Member Hack just clarified that the new written summaries are in alignment with the policies implemented by the Office of Information Practices and in accordance to Sunshine Law.
Can he answer? On the board, the one we reading, does he know all answers what the person said? Like the last meeting, you get, when you ask the representative something, the person answering him does not have here. So can Randy have know all answers what the stuff says? Does he remember?
Yeah, so if there are issues with the notes, that's something that we as a board actually have to draft. So, you know, working with the neighborhood assistant and our secretary, if you would like to see the notes done differently, then we can involve you in that process.
The thing is not that I like to kind. The thing is that when we approve the stuff there, we know what we're talking about, what was the answer. Not that we go back and look at the stuff. Okay? That's the reason why everything's written. Roche Rocky said he's against, they should have firearm. Okay? It doesn't say here whatever, you know. So everybody remember knows what I said. You know, that's the reason. That's all common sense. That's all. Don't tell me when to remember the whole answers to everything. So we're gonna approve.
Also, I'd like to say that the chair, I'd like to say that the meeting is recorded, and that's available to anyone. So someone can look and see exactly what went on in the meeting.
Thank you, Board Member Hack, for that reminder.
I don't know if that's going to help, Earl, but I'm trying to address your concerns from my knowledge.
Every meeting for the last 25 years, when we approve the meeting, there's always an answer on top there that we say we approve or not approve. Then if you say something that you didn't say, you're going to say you don't approve it. This one doesn't have any answers. So who can remember everything what the guy said? You know, that's the reason why. That's all. Okay. Yeah, that's all makes sense.
Yep, that makes sense. So we can consider that as we approve this month's meeting minutes and future ones.
You don't just approve anything. Because a lot of time, the guy make a mistake and say something wrong. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about.
Any further discussion? Okay. Any objections?
Oh, this guy get the right answer. That's all.
Okay, I guess in light of the discussion we just had, I'll just turn to our neighborhood assistant for a roll call vote for the approval of the minutes.
So the motion is to approve the regular meeting written summary for video record from the Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 regular meeting. Oswego. Hack.
Approve.
Ige. Kawamoto. Mao.
Approve.
McColgan. Nakayama. Shiraki. Turbin. Paros.
Aye.
The motion is adopted with 7 ayes, 1 nay, and no abstentions.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Neighborhood Assistant Logan and Secretary Nakayama for providing the summaries.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we will move on to board business, agenda item 5B, filling of vacancies. So we have 2 in sub-district 3 and 1 in sub-district 4. So this is basically anyone who is Makai of the park, really. So if you're in those areas, then we do have vacancies and seats for you to fill. Or for your friends and neighbors to fill. Okay,
I'd like to say that I do believe that people who are not US citizens who are have their what's it called, their green card, are eligible to serve on the board as well. So
thank you, Board Member Heck. Logan, do they just need some kind of verification of the address in the district?
Yeah, I'd have to double check for sure, but as far as I know, the only requirement is that you maintain residence in Palolo in those sub-district lines.
Thank
okay,
you.
thanks.
Thank you, Board Member Heck, for that. Okay, so moving on to agenda item 5C. If there is no objection, then we will defer this agenda item. Okay, seeing no objections, I will move on to agenda item 6, the reports from our elected officials. I don't think we have anyone present from Congressman Case's office. So I will move on to Councilmember Say. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, board members and residents. I'll be very brief. My report is in the chat. Number 1, we're addressing the budget on May 13th. Number 2, I have a report from Warren Mamizuka, Deputy Director, in regards to Kuahia Street Place, that the 8 owners of the private roadway to share in the cost of the pavement repairs. The cost of sewer repairs is the obligation of the owners. The cleanup of the collapsed wall and earthen debris that originated from the 2343 Kuahia Street property should precede any pavement or sewer work. It has not yet been determined if the city or the owners will take the lead in that effort. And finally, the option of the city performing and paying for the work is to divest itself from any of the partial roadway ownership was also presented. Okay, moving on to other topics of interest was the fact that we do have a capital improvements project reports on the 2695 Waimau Road and 3632 Keaoli Place emergency repairs. That's about 95% completed. Kuahia Street, Waimau Road area emergency works. That's the stabilization of Schnabel, and that is 90% completed. repairs of the Kuya Street, Waiamau Road area. That was another contractor, Contracting of 394,000. Roadway improvements in the vicinity of 2428 Waiamau Road, which is road builders of 1.4 million. Palolo Valley District Park Phase 2, gymnasium and pool pump building re-roofing, RMA Architects. Project is in the design and planning phase. Palolo Valley District Park Phase 1, gymnasium structural improvements, RMA Architects Inc. Project is out to bid. So that will be going out to bid whereby the project will start the construction. Okay, then the long-term projects was the questions of the park lights, Director Thielen's response to the last board meeting. And finally, community concerns for the month. We had a lot once more. And let me start off with the Kilihuni Place. Everybody knows where Kilihuni Place is, off of Palolo Avenue. One of our family friends sold the property at 3273 Kilihuni Place to a known developer who builds monster homes. So we did contact all of the residents in regards to when the action or permit is permitted for the demolition of the home, that they call my office also with DPP. For the overgrowth of the albizia, this occurred on Narcissus Street. The first part of Narcissus Place, the Board of Water Supply did get involved because of the storm drain that is adjacent to that particular property. And we did have a meeting with some of the families and private owners in regards to albizia trees that are not fronting, they're in the back of the homes of Narcissus Street and Narcissus Place, which then comes over. But the issue was that, was it a month ago, we had a meeting at this, is that the Korean, I don't call it a temple, but the dormitories up at Waiamau Road that sing. Okay, so we had a great meeting in regards to what we do about albizia, similar to what is happening in Manoa Valley, which is also being affected by the albizia trees. Okay, then we have the issue that talked to Mom in regards to wanting them to be a part of a big project that I think the board could contact their respective organizations. It's the cleanup of Palolo Stream and the Waiamau area. Then we have the speeding of a refuse truck on Kiwila right down here. And this is something that I wish I had shared with the officers, but one of our residents, husband and wife, were victims of a robbery playing pickleball at Palolo District Park at 5:30 p.m. A robber was watching them play for a while, then took their bag and ran to guess where, Palolo Housing, and they made a report. So the police is following up, and we'll be following up as far as if we can find who the particular person is. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you folks may have from the board.
Thank you. Yep, thank you, Councilmember Say. Any questions from board members? Member Shiraki.
Mr. Say,
Yes.
what's the thing about the Monster House, man? You guys keep on talking the Monster House. You guys condemning that thing around, the one on Sierra Drive, and you get a lot of big houses around down, living on Palolo Avenue, the house over there. So what you guys just talking, are you guys doing anything about it?
Yeah, we've had passed ordinances today that makes it very difficult. And it's going to be up to neighborhoods to be policing it. Good Neighbors is a good example of an organization that does the enforcement on behalf of some of our building inspectors who don't have the opportunity. And that's why it's, like I shared with the board members, it's been so difficult all these years because of the shortage of employees for each of the respective departments.
You know, the house on Day Street and the condemn, I don't see anything done about it, you know what I mean? I don't know what you guys just talking, that's all. Okay? The reason why a guy who will get money, just delay or pay the fine and you get the Monster House. That's not right.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Hutchinson, Logan, let's go and research it, the one on Date Street. That's been a big perennial issue all these years.
Yeah, if I could just get the address. I'm not too familiar with the area myself. I don't know if you know it, Earl, off the top of your head, but if you could let me know and I can definitely put that into the a mayor's rep report for next month?
It's, I don't know, but it's just across from Alawai, second hole, third hole, second or third hole, around that area. That story been going on for so long, so you just gotta know what else
Okay.
we're talking
I'll-
about.
I'll- Mr. Hutchinson and I will follow up with DPP, and then we'll also have to follow up with Corporation Council.
You know, no, what about the house right up here, 1 mile? You know, of course, no, it's illegal. You know, the one that right across from 1 mile, right on the stop sign. You hardly see anybody set it, but I see a lot of people walking out of there now. So what's the status on that house? The tree right against the mountain, built right against the sidewalk.
Off of Wymau or 10th Avenue? The
It's
fourth-
on 10th Avenue.
Okay,
It's
10th
right
Avenue.
across from 1 mile stop sign.
On the left side, Palolo?
Right across,
School?
yeah,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
ever side. So only what's the new one they just built, what I mean?
Okay,
You know.
that has been in compliance with the building code.
What's that?
That project has been in compliance with the building code. That particular issue was brought up many years ago about how this particular project has 4 or 5 duplexes adjacent to the home.
How will they pass that? What about, they gotta get a setback letter.
Well, they did comply with all of the building codes and, there is nothing as far as a notice of violation. There's nothing as far as an order to, assess them a fine at this point in time. So if you want, okay, Mr. Hutchinson and I will get back to you on this particular issue, but it is in compliance. If it wasn't in compliance, they would not have completed the project. That's number one. And number two, they would not have gotten the certificate of occupancy from the city and county of Honolulu.
That's what I'm talking about. How come we got, you remember the Palolo Chinese home?
Yes.
Okay, what they built was too high. Okay, so they had the roof all the way up. And who you think was giving it the permits and everything? Okay, one of the Chinese the kind. And then they had to cut the roof down.
It was not the Chinese.
That's the Palolo Korean Chinese home.
That's
That
why
was the
still on
Korean-
the record.
That was the Daiwan Sa Korean temple.
Korean, the Korean temple, okay?
You got it wrong, Earl. It has nothing to do with the.
But they did lower the roofing.
Okay, you know what I
make
mean?
it
They,
comply.
and you know what the Pope told me? The Pope walked in when he talked to me. He know he was wrong, but yet he tells me, just give me 3 more weeks and I'll finish the building and I'll get out of you. So I told him, Mr. Punk, you know what I mean? That's a citation. It's not that you to finish them. You know, that's how people are doing things by paying.
Well,
Okay.
thank you, Member Shiraki. So that's a important issue, and I think to Councilmember Say's point, the building was, cut short to be in compliance with the ordinance code. So I think you've raised a great, issue, and I think we can thank our neighbors, as Councilmember Say has stated, to help prevent that from happening in our.
What are you talking about?
No, the temple you're talking about, that's why the roof is flat at the triangle. It's missing the tip.
The roof is not flat. Okay? They have to cut down maybe 15 feet or so. If they do cut it down, what's made of it, okay? It's supposed to go down to here.
Yeah, I think
So if they do that,
we're all aware of this.
if they do that, the roof will fall out. The roof will fall out. So they went up, okay, so just let you know that the saw wasn't.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from board?
I have another one for you.
Yes.
You know, who here, please?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know that little driveway, right? Okay, I've been telling you guys for how long? Huh? Why don't you guys do something and give them a break and make a temporary road for them? Okay? You guys been put on iron plate for this to make a fence. But now I go up there, there's a big lump over there. How's it gonna make a road?
Well, in my report, I stated for the record, we are trying our best in working with the 8 private landowners. If you want the city and county of Honolulu to pay for the total project and benefit the other 7 private property owners, is that fair for the taxpayers? Shouldn't the other 7 also contribute to the overall, not operations, but development of the road itself? It is a private road, which has been an ongoing issue all these years. The
We-
developer wanted a private road to develop those homes. So the city did grant them, but it is a private road. Why should we be held liable for the total project of that road?
I'm not asking the stuff there. You gotta get hot, okay? What I'm saying is, this building temporary so they can get the car going up there. Okay, they had all the equipments up there and just make a road off it and then they can do the finish up,
Okay,
okay? That's what I think about them.
well, my report stated that we are working with the other landowners and seeing that everyone has to pay their fair share in the development of the private road. And because we have acquired one of the properties, that's why we are part of the overall discussion.
I know it's a private road from way behind, I know that already, okay? I knew that, but I was thinking of the people up there, 5, 6 houses up there. So why do you get digging, at least you get the tracks up there, at least drive the stuff like they put some rough where they can go up as well. For me to finish in touch, the people gotta pay for home.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Shiraki. So we can, without rereading the report that Councilmember Say read, if you would like further discussion on this, then I encourage you to work with me to create a permitted interaction group if you want to, continue this discussion another day.
Yeah.
But they are addressing it with the 8 owners for the private roadway.
We know that.
Okay, so any other questions from board members?
Yeah, really.
Yep, Board Member Oswego, please.
So,
Yes.
hi, Calvin Singh.
Hi.
You had mentioned the concerns and complaints. I think you had
Yeah.
mentioned it. How does it work? Do you just are you just bringing
No.
awareness and
What,
then,
what happens right now is that if you were to call the office in, that there's a complaint or there's a problem, da, 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 da. We do a request for information services for that particular issue.
okay,
Then it is assigned to a department. It could be Department of Facilities Maintenance. It could be Department of Parks and Recreation. That's where the department and the administration follows up on the issue that was presented by you, forwarded to me, then from me to them. And my role is to come up with a status report, if possible, every month. That's why I'm working really well with Mr. Mamizuka, because we're all in the same boat. He's with the administration. He knows all the directors and deputies of all the departments, that he could contact them to say, can we facilitate this particular issue that was brought to my attention at the Palolo Neighborhood Board. But I have to be very honest with all of you. It's not just Palolo that I represent. There's 6 other boards that I do represent. From the Kaimaki Neighborhood Board, tomorrow is the St. Louis Heights Diamond Head Kapahulu Neighborhood Board. Last week, Monday, was Manoa Neighborhood Board. Excuse me, not Monday, but Wednesday. And Thursday, it was Mo'ili Makali. Next week, Wednesday, is Kaimaki Neighborhood Board. Next week, Thursday, it's Makiki Tantalus Neighborhood Board. And the 4th Tuesday of the month is the Ala Moana Kaka'ako Neighborhood Board. So I do represent 5 neighborhood boards, not 5, but 7 neighborhood boards, but 5 house districts. So that's where I'm trying my best to be atop of all the issues for Council District 5.
understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember
Thank you.
Say.
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Yes, please, Colin.
So, do we have a cost estimate, a revised cost estimate for the court lights?
At this point, I don't know the answer, and I'll get that for you next month if it is possible by DPR
Okay,
or DTC.
yeah, so I'm just wondering for our proposed testimony for the May 13 hearing, because I know right now it's in a lump sum for 9.5 million
Yeah.
with other parks.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure that there's enough funding for Palolo specifically.
And I'll try my best to see that the funding is there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just told whoever was for the light, why is it taking so long to get a light for the people of Palolo? I said that they're treating us guys like second-class citizens, okay?
So that's why,
That's what I'm looking for the mess inside here, all this stuff here.
yeah, so Board Member Sharkey, that's why we have Councilmember Say to thank, because he did propose an amendment to be included in Bill number 13. And it does now include funding and language to address that specific problem. So I saw the committee hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. Just for people
Full
who
council.
might have to take off work to provide in-person testimony. I know you can't give me an exact time, but it's like second to last in the agenda. Do you think it would happen before lunch?
No.
No, not at all. Okay, that's good to know.
And we do have our full council meeting. It starts at 9 and sometimes we get through about 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
Okay,
And we do want to take a break for lunch also. So it all depends on the testimony that comes before the committee, not the committee, but the full council.
okay,
And with all 8 different committees, that's all the different issues that we address with the full council once a month.
okay. So just to make it explicit, maybe for the board members and then community members who would be interested, besides submitting testimony in support of the 9.5 million for parks, including Palolo, is there any other way that we can get involved to help make sure that the budget includes funding for the park?
Well, what I can do with the staff that I do have, which I really appreciate, from Janelle to Hua to Andrew and then to Judy, we'll look at the agenda first. And by the agenda, you can tell what the testimony will be like. If there are, development projects, it takes maybe half an hour for each of these projects. Then from the development projects, you go to administrative projects, which is shoreline management, which is another issue that we have to address at the city council now because of what we have adopted in regards to setbacks. Residents may not like us when we go back 80 feet from the high water mark, but that's, all these development issues on top of public safety, on top of parks, on top of other, appointments, et cetera, that is before the full council. But I have to apologize. We do have only one full council meeting a month. And we have one committee hearing a month. But in the meantime, there's 7 other committees that we have our hearings also.
Okay,
But I would say this, we can contact you folks as far as we can figure out what time it will be, just be on call. If it's before, if you're last on the agenda, then probably at about 1:30, 2 o'clock after lunch.
okay.
And what is this?
This is Monday, May 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, so my note taking is poor. Janelle, I see you online. If you could send me an email with the cost estimate that was provided in our January or February meeting, it was like 1 point something million. But I would like to include some kind of cost estimate in our testimony just to make our intent clear on how much we would want of the 9.5. So I'll work. Thank you, Janelle. So just, I know there was interest from other board members also. That's your text when you do this, but my plan is to, we took official board action to pass a resolution supporting this. So we will be submitting testimony on behalf of the board, and I'll share that with each of the board members if you want to send it to your network to also submit testimony in support of it.
It will be very, very instrumental and very forceful when you have people testifying in presence, in person, yeah.
Okay,
And,
we'll do our best.
but I can't tell you the timing, see.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, that's helpful though. Yep, question?
No, it is strictly for the Palolo field light. For the basketball court.
Yeah. So it's for the outdoor court lighting area. Yeah. But I believe there was renovation done to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
So I
And
think
that
that's
was tied-
actually,
And that was tied to CDBG funds,
Wow.
Community Development Block Grants. That's why I've always asked Jackson and Senator Hara if the state could help us. Because, I have over 17 different parks in District 5. And it's just overwhelming for me, the way I have to try to address these issues. St. Louis Heights has the Kailaipohaku, Kaniawai Park, Crane Park is part of the district, Moilili, and the Stadium Park, Makiki Park, Cartwright Park. It's, Mother Waldron Park in Kakako, Ala Moana Park. It's endless. And that's what I have to deal with. And we're having a hard time, the city, because we just don't have the resources and we don't want to raise real property tax assessments or property rates.
Yeah. So that's CD, BG. Does that go to DLNR or
It's
DHS?
from the state first on to the counties,
Oh, but does the state get a portion of it or they're just a pass through?
pass through,
Oh, strictly pass through. Okay. Okay.
federal monies.
If you could send me also any documentation that shows that Palolo would qualify, because I know in previous conversations with DPR, they said that we do not meet that threshold of like 51% poverty or whatever criteria was used in the last budget bill. So,
That I can go and research it at this point, but
Okay.
I would maybe differ with that opinion because of Palolo Valley and the complexion of our residents. And you can look at it from a point of view that Palolo Elementary is a Title I school.
yeah, all 4 schools are actually considered Title I, but I'll forward the email to Janelle that states DPR's stance on that.
Okay.
Because yeah. Okay, but sorry, any other questions from board members or community?
Thank you, Mr. Say.
Okay,
You're welcome. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Say.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. So as council members say noted, Deputy Director Mamizuka could not be here today. We are fortunate enough, though, to have another representative from the City and County of Honolulu. This is Roxanne Adams, the administrator of the Division of Urban Forestry.
Aloha, mahalo nui, Chair and board members and residents. My name is Roxanne Adams. I'm the administrator for Department of Urban Forestry, Division of Parks and Recreation. I just wanted to come here this evening because I know that similar to myself, you all were very concerned with the removal of the tree in the Palolo Triangle on Palolo and Waialae. We had to remove that tree and it was an emergency removal. Otherwise, we would have came forward to you earlier to talk to you about the tree. But I just wanted to come and give you a little bit of background on that tree. So the tree is a Chinese banyan, Ficus microcarpa, and that tree in particular is being inundated across our state by 3 different invasive insects. There's a low bat lax scale that attacks the stem and basically sucks all the life out of the tree. And there are 2 gall wasps, ones that hit the leaf and the other that hit the stems. And those 3 insects love Chinese banyans. And if you go through the city right now, you will see a lot of these trees starting to fail. We've been treating these trees since 2014 for these 3 insects, all of which came simultaneously between 2012 and 2018. So we were treating them like every other year and trying to maintain them, adding extra fertilizer, basically using intravenous methods to try and keep these trees alive. This tree in particular, we had removed several dead branches from it over that period of time for the last 10 years. And then what happened was a large branch failure. A large branch fell. It fell into Palolo Ave. As you guys all know, there are 2 bus stops there. There's McDonald's. There are a lot of students that hang under that tree. And when we went in to look at the tree and remove the failed limb, the entire trunk was rotted through. There was very limited wood left on the tree. And we could have removed that large branch and left the tree there, but the concern really was for the traffic around there, and in particular, all those students that wait for the buses there. So we chose to remove that tree immediately, and we removed most of it that day and came back and removed the rest of it. It was heartbreaking for us. We love trees. Duff loves trees. Urban forestry loves trees. That's what we do. That's our thing. So it was heartbreaking because that's that signals when you make the turn to come into Palolo. I mean, that tree is a sentinel that watches over your community and that intersection. So it really was heartbreaking for us. But as you can see now, we've cleaned that whole entire area out. We're planning on re-landscaping it. And Duff at this point in time is trying to be leaner, meaner, and much more nimble. We know that trees can help cool your neighborhoods and help with erosion control and clean your air and a host of other benefits that trees provide to our communities. And they do help with the effects of climate change. So we're really trying to plant as many trees as we can, and we're trying to be more cautious about the types of trees that we plant and where we plant them. So our plan is to come back with a similar kind of tree from the same genus. So it's a relative of the banyan tree. So it has a similar look and feel to it. It has more finer leaves and it has a more weeping effect. And it doesn't get quite as large as the Chinese banyan. And most importantly, it is not attacked by those 3 very invasive pests that are moving into Chinese banyans. I just wanted to let you guys know we're having a similar problem at the Moilili Triangle on Beretania and King. So right by JCC, across from JCC, there's another Chinese banyan there. We lost one. We replaced it with a monkey pod, and we're about to lose another one. If you go down to Ala Moana Beach Park, we're right now removing almost 24. So this is not just a Palolo thing, it's statewide. We're losing these trees, these big, huge sentinel trees on a regular basis. So our hope is that we would be able to get these trees planted, get this area replanted by the end of the month. We are having some difficulties with the irrigation system. So we're redoing that irrigation system and trying to modernize it a little bit so that the plants that we put back in there will be healthy and green and be able to welcome you into your community. And just so you know, there's another one further back where the Palolo sign is. That's the same kind of tree. We're treating that tree. We're actively still treating that tree. We do see some regrowth coming back to it. We're hopeful, but we've seen similar things happen with other Chinese banyans that don't survive. That tree in particular does not have irrigation, so it makes it even harder for us. So, we're crossing our fingers. We're trying to be hopeful. The university has been working for the past 10 years on trying to get a way to control these invasive insects. But we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping either they come up with something or that tree, just like Palolo, is gonna just thrive and stay alive. We are actively participating with Trees for Honolulu's Future. We're a partner with them and we'll be out there with them to plant more trees in your community. And we look forward to working with your residents to make Palolo a greener space.
Thank you, Administrator.
Thank you.
Any questions from board members? Member Shiraki?
Yeah, no question about the trees, but this is to do with Wildlife and Palolo Avenue, which I have been telling them for almost 2 years. When you make the left turn on Wildlife into Palolo, you gotta make the line wider because to cross the line, when a person coming down Palolo into Wildlife, it's a close shave where it can get an accident.
Yeah, Board Member Shiraki, I'm sorry, I should have clarified. So Roxanne is not sitting in for Deputy Mamizuka, so we can forward that message to him.
I thought she's speaking for Bakan, for Mamazuka.
Just in the time slot for the mayor's representative, but Councilmember Say already read the report from the mayor and we will send over that concern.
No, I get a question for Mamazuka. Doesn't she represent Mr. Mazuka?
No.
Huh?
Mr. Say said something about Mr. Mamizuka not being able to attend, I believe. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so just to clarify, what I would have recommended was that Roxanne should have brought this up during community concerns, just as a way to remove confusion. Because the mayor's representative, Deputy Mamizuka, is not here tonight. You guys are still more than willing to answer questions, and maybe you should have done that first. Just because I can note down any questions and then, like you said, forward them to Deputy Mamizuka. But yeah, Roxanne is not here representing the mayor right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions.
Volume,
I just wanted to, just keep in mind for the batting trees, I'm not sure exactly which ones they are, but a lot of them are really beautiful, but their roots are high above the ground, right? So then when a hurricane comes, those will be the first to go, yeah, flying to houses. So unless we're planning to like rebuild off of that, then I understand. But just to keep on, we haven't heard the hurricane in a long time, so when we plant the trees, think of the ones that go into the ground more deeply than said the surface area of the roots.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep, Board Member McColgan.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Anyone know the status of the Palolo sign?
I will pose that to, Councilmember Say.
The Palolo sign is in good hands with the Department of Facilities Maintenance. I picked it up from Jared Middle School, Mr. Lim, and DFM picked it up to fix the sign. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Say. Okay, so just to summarize, I really want to commend the Division of Urban Forestry under the leadership of Roxanne, because due to invasive species, right, the banyan tree that was previously there posed a physical threat to our community. And because of that, they removed it, very expeditiously, and they are in the process now of replacing it. And just to remind folks, there was a beautiful tree there before, but the rest of the area was quite barren and, not very pleasing to the eye. And what they're doing now is a total, re-landscaping and renovation of the entire space. So I just want to commend Roxanne and taking the time to come and share that update with the board today. Yeah, so he's not here, but he is not here today, but we'll send you his concerns, your questions. So we will move on to the report from the mayor's representative, Kiele.
Governor.
Sorry, yes, Governor.
Yeah, like who?
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and community members. Kiele Amundsen with Haima, representing the governor's office. I just want to highlight some positives coming out of the governor's office. The governor signed 2 legislative bills, the first of his administration, Senate Bill 36, which prosecutes people who have committed crimes by clarifying the methods by which a person may be tried and sentenced, making our communities safer. And Senate Bill 1 reaffirms a woman's right to choose by protecting the right to abortion under Hawaii law and protecting the healthcare workers who provide such services. The state of Hawaii participated in the Hawaii Career Expo last month with 19 state departments and agencies on site. The state employs nearly 50,000 employees annually. Despite that, the state is always hiring and is recruiting to fill various positions from office assistants to engineers and information technology. Anyone interested can visit the Department of Human Resources Development website, which is at jobs.hawaii.gov. On Friday, I just want to announce that the governor will be holding a press conference declaring and presenting a proclamation declaring May as Wildfire Mitigation and Risk Reduction Month. That's all I have, pending any questions.
Thank you, Kiele. Any questions from board members?
No question.
Questions from the community?
No question.
Okay, so I just have one. So, one stakeholder that was identified during our Trees for Palolo initiative was the Hawaii Public Housing Authority. They're one of the managers of the public housing here in Palolo. So I was just wondering if you could connect us with someone from HPHA so we can engage with potential tree planting at the public housing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll find out the appropriate contact for you and email you directly.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, moving on. We are so fortunate to have Representative Sayama here in person, so you can provide the monthly report now.
Well, good evening, Chair, members of the board, members of the public online as well. So nice to see you. I think, there's a lot that's been happening this past few months during the legislative session, but it's finally over. The legislature has now passed several hundred bills, and now those bills are up to the governor to sign or to veto. But some of the highlights I do want to add from this legislative session included in the budget is $1 billion appropriated to basically Maui recovery and wildfire prevention. 500 million of this was emergency housing for displaced residents, 124 million for rental assistance, again, for those on Maui who have been displaced by the fire in August of last year. We do have other bills that have tried to tackle the housing shortage. One of the most notable was the bill allowing the counties to transition short-term vacation rentals to long-term housing or long-term rentals. This was particularly important for those who live on Maui, as the housing supply there is currently being a significant portion of it, I believe, is taken up by short-term vacation rentals or short-term rentals. So that is a big one for them. Other budget items that were fairly significant, we had significantly increased resources to combat invasive species coming into Hawaii. I think a common statistic that was given throughout the session was there's about 400 inspectors protecting the mainland from Hawaii species going to the mainland, but there's only about 100 in Hawaii protecting us from anything coming into Hawaii. And Hawaii is noticeably much more a sensitive ecosystem and environment, and we have seen firsthand how these invasive species have impacted our communities. Perhaps not so much in Palolo, but we still get the koki frogs back in Waimau. But more importantly, I think North Shore and west side of Oahu currently sees the coconut rhinoceros beetles. East side in Waimanalo, Kaneohe get the little red fire ants. So, it still is an important aspect to our community, and it's only a matter of time, actually, before it comes into our community here in Palolo. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. We provided a significant tax cut to everyone. So over the next 6 years, there's going to be basically a $5 billion tax cut. This tax cut will come in the form of a standard deduction as well as adjustments to your individual income tax bracket. So you should be able to see some impact and changes in your next tax return for next year. Again, this will hopefully help a lot of the working class families here basically have more flexibility in their finances to invest in not only themselves, but also maybe in their communities at large. Another tax break that we provided was a general excise tax exemption to medical care. Currently under status quo, medical care is taxed with the GET, and medical care is already expensive. And so we wanted to make sure that we are trying to lower the cost as much as possible. And there are many, many more great bills I think that we've provided to the general public this session. You feel free to ask me questions later on. In the community, though, very quickly, I did attend a wonderful play hosted by the Jarrett Middle School's after-school care program, the All-Stars program. And so that's an annual play that they have every year. This year was The Lion King, and last year was Frozen. So, it's really fantastic to see the community come together to celebrate the wonderful performances by our students and children. So I hope to continue to support that through the years. One thing I do want to note again on the topic of schools and of course the budget, is that I was able to secure a little under $3 million for schools in Palolo Valley. Most notably was actually the $650,000 for Jarrett Middle School. That was basically, they have all these open fields in between Jarrett Middle School and Palolo District Park, but super uneven due to construction several years ago. Kids have tripped and fall, have sprained or broken, their ankles. So that it's not usable in its current state because of liability issues and safety issues. So the $650,000 will go to help level that field to make it usable again for both the students and faculty at Jarrett Middle School, but also for the community at large with Palolo District Park. And Anu Inui, I don't know if you guys have been on the school premises lately, but some of the roofs have been very, very leaky over the past few years. So we were able to appropriate about 1.3 million for that. So hopefully the students over there would see a significant improvement over the years as that makes its way through the DOE. I think with that, I will wrap things up here. There are a number of events related to the Festival of the Pacific that's happening next month that is open to the public at UH and all over Oahu, as well as Bishop Museum. So I encourage you to participate and enjoy those festivities as well. With that, I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Yep, Board Member McColgan.
Thank you for all the work you've been doing, long hours, I'm sure. You mentioned the tax cuts, which I'm sure everybody appreciates, but I also understand that's $5 billion less revenue to the state. How do you balance that shortage of revenue, and how do we ensure ourselves that that won't be passed on to higher fees, higher other taxes, and to make up for that lost revenue?
So that's a great question, actually. So every year, before the legislative session, the Council on Revenues provides the legislature, particularly Ways and Means Committee and the Finance Committee, with a financial outlook. Basically, what is the finances going to look for our economy in the next 6 years about? And so this tax exemption, both GT and individual income, was accounted for to basically make sure that these tax cuts wouldn't negatively impact that financial outlook. I think in the long-term plan, the money chairs are planning to restructure a lot of Hawaii's taxes in the next legislative session to basically offset these tax cuts. Because right now, the state of Hawaii relies a lot on the GT and the individual income tax, at least for the state side. And of course, city and county is the property. The issue with relying on the individual income and the well, let's start with the individual income, is that only applies to residents. And GT also applies to residents and tourists. So that's, I think, the shift that they're going towards. Let's shift the burden away from the residents to tourists, the tourism industry, or other more taxable things like property. Because people, yes, they have their second home, their vacation home here in Hawaii, but the state struggles to capture that because we cannot tax property. So that's something that I think finance chairs and Ways and Means chairs are looking at into long term to address some of the economic or financial impacts of these tax exemptions. Yes.
Board Member Shiraki.
Representative Sayama, very nice to see you in person.
Nice to see you, Earl.
We don't see so long, so we appreciate that. Now, the question I get for you answer is, now, we never get the phylum test again, okay?
Yes.
Now, the thing about this I'm telling you about, that's supposed to be first priority, okay? Don't let them guys keep that stuff way back, talking about. Okay, phylum is to one people. It's exactly right now in Maui one. They don't talk about the phylum, okay? The phylum could have saved maybe 50 people, if they know something has happened. But they don't talk about that. That's how they talk about bringing Hawaii and that's what. Well, what I'm trying to say now is that we need fire alarm, okay, for one of the people. The first thing when fire, the house burned, the first thing you think about is get the people out of the house first, okay? That's the main concern for even firemen or whatever, okay? And then you start, what I mean, then you start watering the house or whatever, If you don't think about what they shouldn't do anything. But the first thing, fire alarm, is to get the people know and they can get out of the house. That's the main thing. And they're not even talking about that in Lahaina. And I don't know what's the matter, man. You know, just think about that. You're doing a good job, but you know,
Will do.
sorry, I'm okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Shiraki, so just to address your concern, there was $3.25 million that was included in the DOE's budget to increase contracts for things, including for fire alarms. So I assume they will be working on that. I see Board Member Hack's hand up.
Yes, thank you. Jackson, I really appreciate you talking about the GE and the medical providers. And I believe that those are providers for patients who are either Quest, TRICARE, or Medicare. They waive the GET on the medical and dental for those individuals. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Questions from the community?
No question.
Go ahead.
So you know, you say it's the summer coming up, right?
You know, okay.
Yeah, it's people online can't hear, that's why.
So I know how you said the summer's coming up. And I was wondering, is there a way to bring up these two issues? Because every time I notice that it's brought up, it's kind of brought up in a negative way. You know, like EV found and like the wells that are found like in Kalani. Like, you know, when they were doing the construction, the wells they found over there, they opened up. There's a way to like promote that in a good way. And during the summer, because I know ex-governor Mufi, he wanted to show hospitality. Yeah, so I think that would be a good way to express our culture or take care of things. You know,
Yeah, okay.
like an idea. Like I don't know, it was just something that just popped in my head. I didn't know how to like spit it out yet. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, you're talking about culturally sensitive areas, activities, and basically promoting that. Is that correct? Sound about right?
I stopped constructing on the highway because they tapped into the wells. That were like this built up a long time where we discovered it.
Oh, okay.
I think this EV found on a private property. It stopped construction, but we still take care of it. It's a building.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with how or what regulations there are in terms of, if you find a, maybe a Kupuna EV, then, you got to stop construction, of course, and make sure that proper protocol has been taken care of. But yeah, I think I could take a look into that to see, what we're doing in terms of promoting that in a more positive light. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yep, Malia.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you regarding the short-term rental. And you said that the law was passed giving counties now the jurisdiction to make their own rules. Is that a correct understanding? What does this county's position on it presently?
You have to speak in a mic.
Okay, shall I repeat everything? Okay, so regarding the bill regarding short-term housing, and now the counties have their own control about making their own laws regarding short-term rentals. What is the stance for this county?
I never sat on the committees that heard that bill, so I don't know how the city and county of Honolulu testified on that particular measure. Yeah, it's difficult for me to even guess their position on it. Other bills relating to zoning reform, the county of Honolulu did testify in opposition, and so I'm not too sure how they would position or, I guess where they would stand on this particular bill. I don't know if Chair, were you tracking in it? Okay, just
I have
curious.
no idea, but that would be an excellent question for Councilmember Say or the mayor's representative. Yeah, but as far as I know, that was already the purview of the city and county. this kind of just was a reminder of the fact that they are the ones that are responsible for determining those laws. So I am actually not expecting anything drastic because, like I said, they've already had the authority to establish laws surrounding short-term rentals, but we can make a note of it and then ask, the mayor's representative would be the most appropriate to ask in our next meeting. Yeah, thanks, Malia. Okay, I just have one thing. We have struggled to have communication with anyone from the schools here. So if you could just start an email chain with me and the 4 principals or whoever your point of contact is in each of the schools here, I would appreciate that a lot.
Okay, sure. Just any particular topic or just any communication?
Yeah, really, I mean, I guess right now, specifically for the Trees for Palolo initiative, but there were a lot of things that we wanted to engage with them on. And just to make it a little more direct line of communication, I was trying to get a hold of the CAS, just so that from the top down, the principals can be told what to do, instead of trying to work maybe from the bottom up. So I don't know which is a more easy or path of least resistance, but if we can just get any communication.
Sure.
that'd be
I
awesome.
could start an email chain for that.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions from Representative Sayama? Okay, thank you. Enjoy interim.
Thank you.
Okay, so unfortunately, Senator Ihara informed me that he could not attend today's meeting. So that brings us really to agenda item number 7, announcements. The only thing I want to point out is that we do recess in June. So our next board meeting will not be until July 10th. And then, of course, if you want to rewatch our board meetings, they are broadcasted on channel 49 on the 4th Thursdays at 9 p.m. and the first Sundays at noon. Okay, so with that, I will adjourn. Thank you, people online. Thanks, Vice Chair and Board Member Heck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great meeting. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We're here now, ma'am.